Good morning, everyone. So let me just give you a quick recap of yesterday's session. So what we are trying to make here is a restaurant management system, the kind which you see in actual restaurants as well. So let me just demonstrate you our progress right now. So this is our progress. The thing that we are aiming for is that we can see our table layout in our restaurant right here. And if we select a table, then we can manage everything related to a table in our right hand side panel. For example, if a customer has arrived to the table number two, suppose, then I can mark the table as occupied and I can send over a waiter to wait the table and get the orders of the table. And yeah, this is our progress so far. We have a main window created right here, and we are adding the functionalities of each of these UI elements one by one. So currently, we can mark a table as occupied, and we can select different table and get the side window to respond to that change. We have also created a database to manage the data uh, for our application. We just now need to add the functionalities that require the database in the first place. For example, the placing order function and the billing function. So, okay, so that's our progress so far, and we'll start today the with adding the functionalities of our menu. So this is where we ended yesterday. We added all the we wrote all the functions that are required for our database to function properly. And now in this file, I just need to add another statement, which is to actually create the tables. All right. So what this will do is this will check and create our database for us whenever we call this managedb.py file. Next, as you saw, we need to populate our database with some dummy data about our menu. So for that, I will create another Python file called populateDB dot. All right. In here, I will first import the files, import our required function from the earlier mentioned document. So in this one, we will be just adding data to our table. So the function we'll be needing is this one, the add menu item. Also, people for the students, for the participants who have joined for the second session only, we are using PyQt framework for our desktop application. And PyQt framework is basically a Python wrapper around the Qt framework, which is based in C or C++. So the benefit of this is we can get the application speed achieved by a C++ program, but we are getting the ease of programming of Python. It has, of course, there are of course disadvantages, but yeah, it serves our purpose for now. As for the actual competition, you guys are free to use whatever tech stack and frameworks you already know and you are comfortable with. We also have resources about some popular frameworks in our website, and you can check them out as well. Okay, so back to the code. Now let's define some dummy data. I will make a list over here. Let's say I have let's add a few items for our dummy menu. Each of the tuples I'm making the format as the item name and the cost for it, which is also, if you notice, which is also the structure we went for our menu table over here. We have an ID that will be generated by itself. We have a text, which is the item name, and we have a price, which is just a real number. What else? Let's add salad. All right. Now, to populate the database, what we will just do, we will just iterate through the list that we have created. The name and price and menu item is not available. Right, that is done. Now, I will just run this file to actually push the data, actually make these changes. So I will just run Python database popular db.py. Oh, okay. Create table is not defined. Just a moment. Yes, it's create tables. Okay, it is done. And you just saw we have generated a restaurant.db file right here. So if we actually view this in the menu table, you can see actually our data has been pushed over here. So if I just take my file right here, you can see all the items that I have listed here are inserted over here as well. So that is the function of this file. Now that we have actual menu to pull our data from, let's get back to writing our code for the application. I will just reduce the font size a little bit so that it's easier for me to view the menu, view the code. Okay. Now, currently, what we need to do is first, we need to display all the menu items that we have. So, for again, let's go back here. Okay, so these are our menu items, and we need to display all these menu items over here in this drop-down box. So, for that, what we are going to do is we will go to the views, and in the view.py, we will actually spot where is our combo box widget. So here is our combo box. We'll just rename this one as menu combo box. Okay. And so in our controller, let's add the method to actually to actually load the data into our combo box. So we'll write it as load menu items. And let's say I will make a variable menu items, which will actually fetch my data from the database. So if you don't remember, in case you don't remember, we make this here. Okay, so it's just menu items, my bad. So this get menu items method returns all the data that is there in the menu table in our database. So here uh, I have added this method. We also need to import the methods from the file. So from database dot managed DB import. Start. I will import all the methods because we are going to use them, most of them eventually. There. And every time we pull it, I will just clear the combo box because otherwise there might be redundant data displayed in the front end. And then for item and price in menu items, I will just push each one of the data into the combo box. Now you might notice, in spite of writing this string right here, I've also provided this tuple over here. So if you see into the constructor of this constructor of add item, if you see into the parameters, you can see first it asks for a text right here. It asks for a text to display, and then it asks for user data. So basically, the text is this line right here, and that as for the data, we're passing the same actual data, so which we can reference later on to calculate the values and all. So this is done, and I just need to call this method right after our combo box is created in the front end. So for that, we will go back to this view.py and uh, just a moment. Yeah, we need to call this method right here. So after our combo box is created, we are also populating our combo box with the items. Let's run this and check this out. And you can see we actually have data in our combo box right here. And our Spring box doesn't need much programming because, I'm sorry, it works out of the box right itself. Next up, let's program our table and the add button. Let's program the add button first. So next up, we need to program the add button. So once again, we will need to go here and check which button we need to program. And it is here because I can see the label add being written here. I will just change the variable name to add order button. It's changed. Then in controller.py, yeah, in controller.py, I will write the function that handles this case of add button. So I will need to program it so that this can be triggered only when the selected table is occupied. So for that, I will just write a check over here. Selves.table button dot current table and its status is so only when a table is occupied, I can actually add an order. So I'll just add a print statement for now. order added. Else, I will just give a print statement that table not occupied. And we also need to add this function to our view. So let's search this. It is over here. So let's connect the signal to this button, self dot add order button dot clicked connect self dot add order. Okay. Now let's see. Let's select a table 3, suppose. And if I click add right now, I can see the message table is not occupied. And if I mark table 3 as occupied, and let's say I will write number 2 here, and I will add order, you can see the message being written order added. Okay. So now that the function works properly, let's actually make it accept our orders. So what we're going to do is, until the customer pays the bill, we will not push the actual orders into the database. We'll keep it in our application itself. Once the customer has generated the bill, then we are going to push the order details into our database. So let's do that first. Okay, so I will just let the print statement be here. And yeah, first we will fetch the details of the item from the combo box that is there. So the current data function gives us the current selected data in the combo box. Next, okay. Now here in this place, we need to reference our Spinbox widget. So once again, I will just go into view and search for my Spinbox widget. So I will just type in a spin, and here it is. Okay, instead of Spinbox, right here, I will add it order quantity. Yeah, that is better. And over here also, I will mention it in order quantity. It was the same, right? Yeah, it is the order quantity dot fetch. And I will calculate the total price as item price into. Now here I will put a bunch of statements. So the first one being, first one I will just check if the current item is already there in the order or not. So okay, let's not add the check first. Let's just keep it simple for now. So what I will do is, remember the table orders dictionary we created before over here. We are going to use that to keep a record of all the orders that has been placed in each table. So let me just explain what's going on here. So in this table orders, first I'm getting the current table number, and then inside the current table number, I'm getting the items dictionary, which is inside this items dictionary, I will have another dictionary that stores the data for each item that has been ordered. So there is a lot of nesting going on here. So the current table orders being the main dictionary. Inside that, inside that, I'm accessing current table, which is also a dictionary. Inside that, I'm accessing the items dictionary, and inside that, I'm accessing the dictionary for each item. And for each item, I'm having these three fields: the price, the quantity, and the total price. So whenever we order, this day's data will be displayed in the table that we are going to program next. Okay. And yeah, I also need to change something. Uh, yeah, in this mark occupied file, I also need to the set the dictionary for the table orders dictionary. You can see items is a dictionary, and I will also have total, which has a value of 0 for now. Now, if I just test this out, I should not see an error. Okay, there is an error. Okay, yeah, because I have not selected any table yet. So if I just select it, yes, there is no errors. Okay, cool. Now, before we can see this in action, I will have to create the model. I have to create that model for the table first. So let's move on to the program for the table. Okay, so again, for the table, what we will do is we will go into view and we can see that we have a table widget right here. So in that table widget, what we're going to do is we're going to set the columns that are going to use right here. Okay, so yeah, we are not setting it here. That's interesting. Okay. So what we're going to do here is inside this view, so we have the table widget right here. So in this table widget, we are going to define that uh, we will use 0 columns and 3 rows for now. Yeah. And we will just change the name of the variable. Yeah, not table view. That's a different thing. Okay, table widget. We are going to change the name of this variable first. So table orders view. Sorry. Yeah, that's better. So that makes it easier for us to access this particular variable later on. And then let's define a function to actually manage the data in this table. So let's name the variable. Let's make the function as update table orders. So we are actually updating the orders in the table. And yeah, let's see. So first we will just use the case that if the current table is available on unoccupied. So self dot table buttons. If it is occupied, then what we are going to do is we're just going to clear the table view, and we're going to set the row count as 0 because there are no data being displayed. Else, what we're going to do is same as before, we are going to set the row count as 0, and then uh, we will set the headers that to show the headers or the headings, whatever you can call it, to show for each of the columns in the table. So the method used here is set horizontal headers. Sorry, header labels. And it accepts a list. First element being item, second element is quantity, and third element is total price. Now you can set the horizontal header levels in the view.py as well, right after this one. But I prefer it over here because of another reason. You guys are free to do whichever approach you want according to your design choices. But I prefer it in this way. So then now we will insert the data into the tables one by one for row, comma, item name, comma, data in. I will use the enumerate method. For table items. Oops. Now, what I will do is allow this to insert row, and I will insert a row. Then I will just set item. Set item used to actually set what item I want to display in here. And I will use the queue table widget item right here. So let me just write this down and then I will explain what is going on. I will just copy this string from here. Hmm. Okay. So what is happening here is I am iterating between all the items that are listed in the current order, and then I'm just inserting a row right here. And this row number is taken in from the ID section in the items. And then I'm setting the items in the following order. So if you see the parameters accepted in the set item, you can see that the first parameter is being row number, which is int, and then the column number, and then the item to be inserted. So the row number is the row number that we're getting as a parameter. The column number is 0 is the first column, and the first item is obviously the item name that we're getting over here. Here, instead of this double item name comma data, you can also use just data, and you can display it like this: data and the key being item name. And yeah, in the first column, we are displaying the quantity. In the second column, we are displaying the price. And the point 2f means floating point. It means it is displayed in the floating point format. And I'm limiting the number of decimal numbers to 2. So it will display 2 decimal numbers after the point. So this should be clear. And then I just need to call this update table orders after our order is added. So basically I need to put it over here. Self dot update table orders. Yes. And why am I getting an error? Oh, okay. Yeah, this should do it. And another place I need to display this is over here in update table window, because this handles the change in state of each of the tables. So the right hand side widget should also be uh, changed after this. Okay. Now, if I just run it, you can see here, because we didn't define the headers initially in this views.py right here, we just said that we will be using 3 columns. So that's why by default, the columns are named as 1, 2, and 3. And then if I select a random table, let's say table 5, I will just mark it occupied. And once I mark it occupied, you can see that the headers has been set right here. And okay, there is an error. Okay, I did a spelling mistake. Okay, let's get back to that. Okay, yeah. So once that it is marked occupied, let's say I will just add some order. And if I just add it, you can see that this order has been added over here. So pizza, item name is pizza, the item quantity is 5, and the total price being 64.95. If I just add something else, let's change the quantity. See, it is being added. So that's fine. Next up, we need to update this. We need to program the place order button. So the place order button, what it will do is it will just change the state of this table to ordered. So that means I can add any more order if I want, or I can finish and bill right there. So let's do that right now. Now for the place order button, it's again the same story. Find out the button where it exists, change the button name to place orders button, right? That. And let's see. I need to go to the controller and I need to write the function. So place order self. And here nothing happens. I'm just changing the state of the button. And then once that Once the status has been changed, I will just update the window once more to reflect that changes in the in the window as well. And in the view, in the place orders button, I will just go up and here it is. I will just add the function in the signal. Now, if I just run it, let's see, I will just mark it as occupied. Let's select something, let's say 5 burgers. And if I place order, okay, nothing happens. Huh, did I do it correctly? Okay, same error as before. I just put a double equal to. My bad. Okay, let's try it out again. Let's say I will order 5 burgers. And if I just place the order, you can see the table has turned red. So the red table means the table has already ordered something. And if I want, I can add some order. Okay. So I need to change that state over there. But other than that, yeah, the order has been placed and the customer can build their order if they want. So once the order is built, I want two things to happen. Sorry, three things to happen. One, the uh, items in the table over here should be pushed into our database. The total sales that is written over here should be updated, and the status of this table should return back to available. Before that, I will just change the add buttons requirement. So let's see, I will just go to add order and I will just set it to not equal to available. Yeah, that's better. And let's check it now. We mark it ordered. We add one pizza. And if I add two pastas and I will place the order, it is now red. Now, if I want to add two soda, yes, I can add that too. Okay. So this is working clearly. Uh, are there any doubts? No doubts. Okay. If I'm going too fast, just let me know. Uh, so I will just assume that you guys don't have any problems so far. Okay, I will move on to the next part, which is uh, basically the final part for this tab. Okay, so the finish and build function. So again, the same story. I will go to the view. I will find the finish and build button and rename it to generate build button. Okay. Then over here, I will write the function here for generating the bills. And I can only generate the bills if the customer has already ordered. So if dot table buttons, self dot current table, and status is equal to self dot stable status dot order. Yeah. Okay. Now here's the thing. If you see our database right here in the orders database, we actually don't have any place to accept multiple items. So what we will do is we'll convert all that items into a single text line. while you are making this app, you can design your database in such a way so that you can accept multiple items against one primary key. In my case, I think it's better to, for me, it's better to convert everything into a single text. So we will do that first. So let's make a variable items string, which is basically, I will join everything with a semicolon. And in the join method, I will just make a list. And let me just write it down and then I will explain it. All right. So what is happening here is I am making a simple string here and I am joining each of these strings with a semicolon. So what this string represents here is, it's not plus, it's X. I'm telling that each item and times the number of times it has been ordered. And I am taking this, and for the variables of this string, I am running a for loop inside the items of the current table orders. And all this data I'm putting it into a list, and that list is being accessed by the join method to generate a final string. So this is one of the good points of Python, that you can do a long thing in just a few lines. Then I will just calculate the total amount of the order. This total amount is not to be confused with uh, the total amount inside our data. That inside our data, the total amount is for each of the items. But in this case, the total amount is for the entire order of the table at the same time. So for this, I will use the sum method, and I will access the data total price. And for the accessing the data variable, I will again iterate through this variable right here. Okay, this time I don't need items, I need just values. So if you are not aware, the difference between items and values is the items returns a key value pair, a key value pair. So it returns something in the format of keys and a value. Whereas this one returns just a value for each element. So this one is a list of key value pairs. This one is a list of just the values. In this case, each value is a dictionary in itself. So that's why we can access the data, total price inside of data. So once we have got that, we will just use the method store order that we have wrote inside our database file. We will write the current table number, the items string, total amount, feedback we will leave empty, and for the ratings we can give 5 because we are hard coding it and we are not, it's 2, yeah, and we are not making a dialog box for accepting a feedback and remark right now. So when you guys are doing this yourself for your learning, you guys can add all those features by yourself. Then we will call the method update earnings. Okay, so yeah, that's for later. Just for the reminder, I will just add the method here. And then we just need to reset the variables that are there. So table orders of self.current table is once again an empty dictionary. Self.table buttons of self.current table, and the status is back to available. And I will just call the update table window. Good. Yeah, that settles it. And inside the update table window, I'm already calling the update table orders, right? Yes. Okay. So let's check this out in action once. So right here, let me first show. Let me yeah. Our orders table is currently empty here. So now if I just select table number 4, mark is at occupied, and once again I will order 5 burgers. And yeah, that adds 1 salad because 5 burgers is of course unhealthy. Let's place our order. We can see that the order is placed. And if we finish and bill, it is not working because we have not connected this method with our button yet. Let's connect this. Okay. Now that it is connected, it should work. So once again, table number 4. See, I will order 4 pizzas and 1 salad, and I will place the order. The order has been placed, and if I finish and bill, it is done. So you can see now the table is empty right here. So the table data has been reset. The status of the table 4 is also been reset. And if I check my orders menu, orders table right now, there is nothing. Why is that? Review stored order. Yeah. Yeah, okay. So it doesn't refresh in real time. So as you can see right here, the last order has been inserted over here. So yeah, let's open my DB viewer. What's that will be better. Just a moment. Okay. Browse data, not menu, orders. So yeah, you can see here that this one order is here. Let's do another at table 8. Let's mark it occupied. I will say 1 pasta and 1 soda. I'll just place the order and I will finish and bill. So now if I just refresh it, you can see at table number 8, 1 pasta and 1 soda. It was ordered at exactly at this time. So yeah, our generate bill method is working. Now in an actual scenario, this finish and bill method would access your hardware printer and work on generating the physical bill right there. But since we don't have a hardware printer right now, I will just leave it at right here. Next up, we need to update this sales label right here. So this sales label is supposed to record uh, our entire our total earnings for the current day. So yeah, let's get on that. And also, if you can see our earnings for that, I need to check out access our data from here from our total earnings. So let's get back to that. For that, once again, uh, I will just access this one and I will just rename the label earning label. Just rename it like that. And remember this method that we have mentioned here, update earnings. So I will just, let's define that method right here. So update earnings is apparently a method that we already created here. Yeah, this one. Okay. So we don't need to rewrite the data every time. We just need to uncomment this and we just need to feed the total amount in here. And then, so did I write a get total earning over here in the DB? I haven't. Okay. So I will just write that right now. Uh, it's basically the same thing. Yeah, yeah. What I'm doing here is, so in earlier yesterday, I had wrote a method to update the earnings table, but I haven't wrote a method to get the value from the earnings table. So right here, uh, I have the method right now. So from the earnings table, it's just as simple as running this SQL command. Select total earnings from earnings, where date is current date. So SQL has this variable current date by itself, uh, which just places the value as the current date. And we can just fetch the result from there and we can return the result. Okay, so now we have a method to push our total earnings, and we can also get our total earnings right here. So we will just use that methods right there, and we will use those methods in this method itself, update table window. Okay, so this method is supposed to detect the changes and update whatever is there in this in this window itself. So since this label is also inside this window, we'll just add the methods over here. So let's see, before the update table orders itself, I will just make a variable income and I will just write get total earnings and then self dot. I think I have made a level. Yes, earning level. You know what? Let's change the name as well. Self dot earning level dot set text and again the format right here. Sorry, it should be here. Oh, my bad. Yeah. Okay, now this should work as intended. So as you can see here, it has changed whenever the view is updated. And in table 6, if I just place an order, let's do one pizza. And I'll just place the order has been placed and finish and bill. So you can see the earnings table must have been updated now. So let's check. Yeah, you can see for today's date, I have an earning of $12.99. And it has been reflected over here as well. And the same order data has been reflected over in this database as well. So that basically marks this part of this window as complete. Now there is just one final part remaining, which is viewing the total sales data right here. So this will be done in a different architecture called the model view model architecture, which I explained yesterday. So all the entire application right here is I'm trying to follow the model view controller architecture. So you can see that I'm separating the view first of all right here, and this file I've literally named it controller because it controls all the data has to be displayed in the view, and the data itself, which are the models, that is handled by this file right here, database. Okay, so now that that is clear, we will next move on to another kind of architecture called the model view model architecture, which I'll be using to display the entire sales data in a different tab. So before that, any questions that we have? Okay, there are a few queries. In real time, do we want to code the earning tab, and would there be reduction of tax? Uh, yes, you need to calculate, you need to keep a separate code for calculating the taxes and everything, the GST and everything, all the data that is required for printing out your receipt. So all that data, you need to keep it in the earnings table as well. So basically that earnings table will be used for your accounting stuff. And if you want a detailed view, you can use that order tables to check whatever the orders are have been received, and basically to do inventory calculations, you will use the orders table. Do you give the zip file of this project? I will not be providing a zip file. However, once this project is completed, I will show some basic Git commands, and during that time, I will upload this project into my GitHub and provide you the link. There you can refer this project once again. So now there is a yeah. Now we need to uh, populate the data inside the second tab, which is here, the sales data. So in here, for now, I am just displaying the orders table right now. You guys can, of course, add more filters of your choice and customize this view as you wish. You can refer the documentation of PyQt for the same. For now, I will just display the sales data in this tab. Okay, the sales data as in the orders table in the database. So this table basically, so that you don't need to go into a separate database client, database viewer to view this data. So what we will do is we will point out the actual table view widget right here. Yeah. And we'll just rename it sales table. Okay. And how this works, how the table view widget works is, so as I've seen before, we also had a table widget. So this is Q table view object, and we also have a Q table widget object. So for the Q table widget, what you guys did was you guys can set each data one by one by the controller itself. So that is how the that is how the Qtable widget works. It takes in input as in the form of Qtable widget items. But uh, the Qtable view, what it does is it accepts a pre-built model, and uses that, and the model automatically detects the changes in the table and displays the data in the front end. What we'll do is we'll just set a method. Let's say sales model. Okay. So we are just setting the model for this table as self sales model. And in the controller, we will add a method that is set sales table. So here, once again, self dot sales model equal to get sales model. So this method will basically define and fetch the data from our SQLite database, and make the model that will be fed into our table later on. So since this concerns with the backend, with the database, we are going to define this function inside our managedb file. So right here, I will write define get sales model, and I will import a few more things right now. Yeah. So I will just use QSQL database, QSQL query, and QSQL table model. So what it does is PySide has its own methods to connect with the existing SQLite database, and just create a table model by itself if you're using a SQL database by default. So that is way more easier than creating a table model manually, because Python is doing this for you. Oops, I forgot the def keyword. Wait a minute. Yeah, I need to write it here. Sorry. Yeah. Then let's make a database object. So here our database type is being defined, which is SQLite. And we are setting the database name, which is restaurant.db, and then db.open. Now, once it is opened, I will make a model variable, which by default will be empty, is equal not database, is equal table model, none, and second parameter being db. So basically the first parameter is parent and second parameter is the db that we're going to use. Sorry, it's going to be db, and model.set table, I'm going to use the orders table. You can you can also use some custom queries to set this table, but I'm not showing you that right now. You can just research it yourself in the PyQt website. So basically, if you want to do, it will go something like this. You will have to make a query object using the Q SQL query class. And then in the query.exec method, you need to enter your query here. So basically, this will be your SQL query, which can be something like this. Select total earnings from earnings or select a star from orders. So let's just do it like this here. Select star from orders. And then uh, in the model, you can set the query like this. So I will just comment it for now because we are not using it in our project. We are just selecting the whole table at once. So I will just select everything in the model and I will return it. Okay, so now in the controller itself, so whenever it is created, now we need to define this sales model before our sales table is created. So for that, I will just mention this function in our init method. So let's go to our init method over here and I will just mention it right here. So that way, with the help of this method, our model will be created and that model then will be accessed by the sales table right here. So let's go and check this out. Oops. Uh, Controller 157. Yes. So, okay. So right now you can see this is the data that has been fetched. And if I add another data right here, like this, base order and finish bill, it should be reflected over here. Okay, it is not reflected. So basically I need to call the model once again to fetch the data from the backend. Whenever I'm generating the bill, I will just call this method once again. Now let's see. Yeah, it has 5. If I add one pizza, ah, okay, so a connection is already used and it has some duplicate connections. So basically it has some issues with real-time loading over here. So you guys can figure it out how to make it work. Maybe a button that maybe a button will be useful that calls this method whenever it is clicked. So that I will leave as a bug for you to solve. This so the restaurant order system is basically completed and it is working. Let me know if you guys have any doubts. Okay, I will just move on to the Git and GitHub part. So in case you have missed in the earlier session, so Git is a kind of version control system that is useful in regular software development of any kind. And GitHub is a place where you can store your Git repositories, and you can share the Git repositories, and you can show and you can display your profile and your projects in there in a proper manner. So let me just show you my GitHub profile. So GitHub looks basically like this, and this is my GitHub profile right there. And here you can just uh, basically people show off this their contribution timeline. It basically indicates how much they are active in the actual development scenario. For me, it's very low because I'm not actively contributing to any open source projects right now, other than my own projects, which I develop seldomly. So yeah, and it's useful to actually store your projects. So as you can see, I've all my projects that I have worked on throughout college are stored here. So yeah, let's just walk you guys through how to use Git and GitHub. So once you go to GitHub, your creating an account is easy. And let's say I will create a new repository for this project that I'm working on. So first, you just need to select a repository name. For me, I will type in PyQt6 restaurant manager. Okay. I'm not giving any description right now. And I'm just keeping everything default, and I will just create the repository. So now I have created the repository, and I will just copy the link that it has given me right here. So once I've copied this link, then I will just go back to my VS Code. And as you can see, yesterday when I created this project using Qt Creator, it has already created a Git uh, file for me. So let me just show you what I mean exactly. Uh, if I just go here, ADC, Restaurant Manager, and if I just display hidden folders, so you can see this .git folder right here. So this .git folder basically stores every information regarding the Git repository. Let's say you want to delete your Git history from this project, but you don't want to delete the project itself. You just need to delete this .git file. Although it's not recommended because this .git file restores every history of your file of your project entirely. And yeah, you don't want your history of the project being erased. So in case if you do any mistake right here, so for example, I'm developing a software and one of my team members accidentally pushed some errors into my code, and I don't have much time to fix it currently, so I can just revert my project into the earlier version, and I can use that version of my project in my to display, let's say, to display to my clients, and I can work on the errors that has been pushed later on. So it's a pretty useful tool to get used to. So if your repository is not being created, you would just use the command git init to initiate your Git repository. It would ask a bunch of questions, and then you will be done. So as my Git repository is already created, I will just skip the Git init process, which I will add a remote origin. So what remote origin means is this repository right now currently sits in my local computer. And if I want to link this repository uh, to some online service like GitHub, then I need to set a remote origin for that. So for that, git, I can just run this command, git remote add origin. and I can just file, paste the link that I have copied and just enter. And then my remote origin has been added. Now, uh, so if I want to commit all these files, before committing actually, I want to introduce you to the basic files of Git repository. So first of all, there is a git ignore file. So git ignore file your basically tells Git which files to ignore when you are making a commit. So these are the file extensions that needs to be ignored. I will add a few of my own as well. So basically this qt creator file that is there. This file does not need to be added in my repository because it's just the Python environment. And I don't need an extra and Python environment in my repository because uh, you can just create it simply. I can just ship my requirements.txt packet, txt right here. Using this, you can create your own Python environment. So this will be just a waste of space in my repository. So I will just write my Qt creator file right here. And you can see VS Code has grayed out this file right here. So if it is grayed out, that means it won't be added to my repository. Next, I don't think is PyCache here. Okay, PyCache is not here. So let's add that folder also. And also .vs code files. So all these files is just a waste of space inside our repository. So these files are actually useful. So I will just include it. Another thing that is actually necessary is a README. So what a README file does is it basically gives an introduction about your project. So what this project is all about. And this is a markdown file, and markdown files are compiled automatically inside of GitHub. So let's say I will just use Copilot right now to generate. So let's see. Yeah, pretty good. I will just accept it and there. Now if I just preview it, so yeah, it's pretty nice, but I'm using PySite 6 right here. I will remove the contributing and the licensing for now. And for the usage, it will be using Python main window.py. So other than that, it's all cool. This looks good. So this README file is basically necessary because if this file is not there, then anybody who is viewing this project of yours will not understand what this project is all about. So for example, if I show you one of my actual README files, there is a lot of ways you can decorate your README files, by the way. And as a suggestion, if you are planning to display your yeah, okay. So this is one of my projects from earlier in college. So this is a basic README file right here. So it basically gives the prerequisites information that are there and the running information and some basic information about the project itself. So you can also decorate your README files to show the different tech stacks that you have used and all. And if you just search Google, you will get many examples as such. So if you're using your projects from GitHub in your portfolio or in your resume, it's always suggested that you decorate your README files because that's how an third party person will judge your projects. So once this is done and you think that if your project is ready, you can just use the command. You need to commit your changes first. You need to stage your changes. Once your changes are staged, you need to commit your changes to the Git repository, and then you need to push your commits to the remote origin. So let me just show you. So if you just check Git status, it will show you the current status of the project. So you can see it will show you the branch that you are on. So another feature of Git is you can have multiple branches of your repository. So each branch is basically a version of your project. So for example, let's say I have two people working on this project right now. One guy is working on the database and one guy is working on the view. So they can create two separate branches of this project. And in those two separate branches, the development work will be going on separately. And when they are done, they can just merge those two branches together to push their changes into one single file. That's pretty handy when you are collaborating with someone, or you need to maintain a production version of your project along with the development version of your project. So production version means basically which when your project is out to the public for usage, then you need to use a production version, which is basically stable. So yeah, currently it shows that it's on branch master and you can see no commits yet because I've been writing it nonstop without making any commits or any changes, which is a bad practice. Make sure, so basically what we do in personal projects is, I'm assuming your one of your projects won't be built in a single day. If it is built, well and good. If it is not, it is suggested that you commit your day's changes and just leave it at that. That way, you can see your progress on your project currently, and whoever is viewing your commit history, it looks good on the project as well to show that okay, what kind of work you have been done on each commit. Or you can make one commit per feature or one commit per day. Basically, on personal projects, one commit per day is used. If you're in a collaborative environment, one commit per feature is recommended. So here you can see no commits are there yet, and basically shows me some the files which are unstaged and which are untracked. So let's add them to staging. So git add stages all the files for the commit, and I will just put full stop. Full stop means I'm considering the entire directory. So now if I view the git status, you can see that these files are ready to be committed right here. So I will just write git commit, and within this inverted commas, I need to write the commit message. So the commit message needs to be short and meaningful. Meaningful as in by reading your one-liner commit message, it should be a one-liner or a two-liner. A third person should understand what has been done in this commit message. So I will just write completed restaurant manager project. Now, basically, people do make a commit in their empty project when their basic structure is done and name it initial commit. If you view the commit history of many open source softwares, you will find it. And since in this project I haven't done an initial commit, I will just do this commits at the do this completed restaurant manager project commit as my first commit. It is although not that much recommended. So I will just enter and you need to mention the -m flag and yeah. all these changes have been committed, and you can see VS Code also reacts to the changes. So all the changes have been committed here. So the colors have been now returned to normal. Now, if I just add something else and save it, you can see the readme.m readme file, the color has changed here. So VS Code also tells you what files have been changed and what has not. Now, if I just delete it, and you can see it's back to normal. Now, once that it is done, I will just push it to I will just push the changes to git push origin meaning the link that I've made earlier, and master. Master being the branch that I pushed, and enter, and it has pushed it over there. Now, if we check our GitHub, if I just refresh it, you can see all my projects are here. My README file is also here. And yeah, for people who wanted the project code, I will just paste the GitHub repository right here in the chat box. So that way you can refer to this project whenever you want. And yeah, that's the end of this current project. So are there any people who have any doubts? Any questions about this project, about any aspect of this project is welcome. So basically, we have a set of problem statements, and you can select any one of those to work for your submission. You'll be getting plenty of submission. You'll be getting about you will be getting a plenty of time to work on this project, and within that time period, you need to develop your application based on one of the ideas that we give, and you need to make your submission. It will be released after this workshop is over. And there is another question that is student. What is the evaluation criteria for solving the problem? So basically, for each problem statement, we have given a set of features that we require. So you need to complete those set of features first. And once you have coded, once those set of features are implemented, you can you can submit it directly, and either that, or you can also add some features of your own which you think will be fit. And of course, you will be judged based on your quality of code, uh, your what kind of architecture you're following, and how let's say how optimized is your code, how clean it is, and if it is error free or not, and what test cases have you considered for your project, and everything. It will be a minimum viable product, of course, because we are not expecting you to be able to develop a fully developed software within a span of few weeks. Developing a fully developed software takes time, so it will be just a minimum viable product. We'll be testing for errors and everything. So make sure the software that you write is error free, and whatever the cases you cover is uh, well well covered, and also make sure you write documentation for your for your code. Okay, so while we are at it, I would like to say a few words about the problem statements that we are going to give. So the current application that we have developed here, the restaurant management application, it is a very basic CRUD application, and it just covers the basic of how to approach the problem of desktop development. And as for the problem statements, uh, I think there are very few such simple problems in the problem statement. So for most of them, you need to do your own fair bit of research. You need to go to the documentation of your frameworks, and you need to figure out how to how to plan out your application in that way. So I encourage you guys to uh, actually visit the documentation of the frameworks that you're planning to use. And if you are a beginner, and if you're proficient in programming with Python or C++, then I would suggest starting off with Qt. or if you're a bit proficient in programming with C++, then you can move on to OpenGL or Vulkan. And those are some better options. So, and in the problem statements, as I mentioned before, I have not included many CRUD-based applications. Even if there are CRUD-based applications, you need to implement some pretty advanced features in that. So basically, you need to use your creativity a bit in order to implement those features. And make sure you follow a specific architecture, and you mention what architecture you have tried to follow. So, because again, we'll be judging based on what kind of code writing practice you guys have followed. And again, another thing. Yeah. And just to give you a heads up on what kind of problem statement you can expect. Uh, so here is another small application I've made in PyQt. So just to give you an idea of what kind of problem statements you can expect right here. So this is a basic mesh viewer that I've made in PyQt. So this uses a Qt 3D mesh viewer over here. Yeah, it uses a Qt 3D window widget right here. You won't find it, you will not find this widget inside of the Qt creator itself. So if I just open up the Qt designer right now, and let's say I want a widget, I have it created. If I search for a 3D window, you can see nothing over here. So because Qt 3D window is not included by default inside of the normal Qt packages. You need to search up this Qt 3D window widget in the documentation, and you will find it under Qt 3D extras module. So what this does is it is used for visualizing 3D objects inside Qt. So there are some problem statements that would require for you to do the same as well. So as an example here, I've created this, and I have three buttons here that would just would add different objects into this 3D viewport. So if I just add a cube, you can see that you have a cube right here, and you can rotate around the cube and see how it is implemented over here. So if I just zoom out a bit, it will be easier to pan around. So you can see it's a cube, and you can rotate this around right here. Same way, I can add a sphere. You can see that I have had this sphere, this generated over here of blue color. And I can also add a torus. So a torus is basically a donut shape. In here, the circle in the middle is a bit small. So that's why you cannot see it. Let me just reset the application. Yeah. Here you can see that the circle in the middle is a bit small. So if I just make it full screen, you might be able to see it. Or let me just change the color. Yeah, now it is more visible, I think. There. Same with the sphere. You can rotate around the camera, and you can see the shading of the objects. So there will be different problem statements based on solutions like this. The code is pretty simple. So let me just zoom in a bit. If you're using PyQt, there are two ways to do it. One is using a 3D window, and another is using something called OpenGL window. So OpenGL window, what it does is it allows you to write OpenGL code inside that OpenGL window. So writing that in Python was a bit difficult, and I just needed some simple meshes over here. So I just went with the 3D window for now. And then you just need to make a container. You just need to make a 3D initialize the 3D window and initialize the camera for the 3D window. And here you can just use the default camera controller as well for moving around the camera. And yeah, next up, you need to set up the root entity right here. So that's the cube, the sphere, the torus you saw right now, they are all just entities right there. So the entities here in the 3D window, the objects are rendered in the form of entities. So now here you can see, for example, if I want to add a cube, I can just take Qt 3D extras just gives a cuboid mesh object by default. So I can just take I can just assign this mesh as the root entity right now. So in the root entity, I will just assign the mesh object, and I will have to assign a material to it. Without the material, it won't be visible. So for the material, I will just import this form material right now. And then again, the parent will be a root entity. So entity has this properties called components, materials, positions, transformations, etc. And in this material, again, I will set a diffuse material. Again, you can select the colors here. So when that is done, I will just set the root entity as the current root entity as well. So that what this will do is replace anything that is there from before to the current mesh. And then here, this one, these are the horizontal buttons that you saw in the window. So once again, if I just play it, yeah, you see these three buttons here. So these three buttons are programmed over here. And again, once these buttons are clicked, these specific functions will be called. So yeah, this is just a basic mesh viewer. In one of the problem statements, you may need to do add some more functionalities to it. So for that, you will need to do your own bit of research. And you will also get plenty of time for the same. So yeah, this is another example that I wanted to show really quickly. So any more questions? Okay, Adishwaran, that's good to know. So have you learned anything new from the workshop, or was it something that you already knew?
Are all of you done with whatever is taught today? If yes, then Deeptanshu will Deeptanshu can ask you some questions about the learning material what was provided yesterday and today. So Deeptanshu, you can just ask them some questions just to let me know how much they have learned yesterday and today. Yeah, it can be just like a game, nothing. I mean, we are not considering these answers, and we will not consider it while assessing the problem statement also. So it's a kind of game that we can play now.
So today in our workshop, we did discuss about Git and what Git is basically. And yesterday also we discussed about that. So can't anybody reiterate to me that what is Git and where it is used? Anyone?
So whoever can answer this, he or she will get 10 points. Let us see how many points you can score today in this game.
It's used to import and export the project from our local system. Not exactly, but it's one of the uses. Go on.
So can we give Arish some points? At least 5 points?
Yeah, we can give 5 points.
Okay. So I'm just noting down all the points. Let us see who's the winner.
Okay, Kalyani has given the correct answer. Git is a version control system and used to track changes in a project. So 10 points to Kalyani. And Pradipta also gave the same answer, but it's a little bit late. So can we consider that?
Yes, we can consider.
Okay. So next question I would like to ask. So since this session was about desktop applications, so can you just name a few desktop applications that you guys use in daily scenario?
Before that, Dipanshu, please take this answer by Siddesh Mane.
Yeah, that is also correct.
Okay, so 10 points to Siddesh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. There's a lot of answers in here. So Rahul says you use Skype, Adobe Unity, Arduino, Discord, VS Code, Zoom, WhatsApp. Yeah. So yeah, that was more of an information question than points. Like there was no correct answer to that question. There are many. So yeah, next question. Who can answer this will get another 10 points. So we have talked about the model view controller architecture in this project. So can you just explain the role of controller in this architecture? And yeah, I would appreciate if everybody answers from their memory. Like if it's easy to just Google the question and get the answers, but it's not really a sort of competition. Yeah.
So should I take all the answers of your previous question, Dipanshu? These answers from Pradipto, Rahul, Arish.
Yeah, you can consider those answers as well. Yes.
Okay. Okay.
Hmm. Easy to manage code accessibility. Manage the application's flow, represents data and logic. It's a block that organizes the flow of data and logic. Yeah, Anish gave the correct answer in here. It's the closest answer. Like it's a block of code that manages the flow of data and logic inside the application. In MVC, the V stands for view. View is responsible for actually rendering and viewing the data to the user and taking input from the user. Then controller is responsible for processing the data and applying the logic of the application on that set data and provide it to the model or the view. And the model is basically responsible for handling all the data, either to write or read. Okay, so in this question, I will give 10 points to Anish, and yeah, you can give everybody, you can give 5 points to everybody else. Okay, so next question. So let's say you are a web developer, you are proficient in JavaScript. So if you are commissioned to develop a desktop application for your web app, which framework would you be using? Which framework will suit the best for you? So for this question, Electron is the correct answer. And for everybody else, basically React, Vue, Angular, Svelte, those are used for making web apps. I'm sorry. And Node.js is a complete backend framework. So you can use that for hosting your backend.
Great. So let me announce the winner. The winner is Siddesh. Congratulations, Siddesh.